All right, it says we're live, and now we're in that awkward every week moment where my Zoom screen says I'm live. I'm waiting on Facebook to play catch up so that I can guarantee that I'm live because I want to make sure that everything's functioning. And it looks like we're good to go. So I'm going to mute myself on Facebook so that I don't hear any feedback. And we're going. It is Monday, June 21st. It's the first official day of summer. So congratulations, we've made it. Which is crazy. I was out of town last week and apparently it was like 105 all week long. And I come back and the first day of summer, it's like beautiful and cool and breezy. And that's lovely. So we're glad you're joining us. This is Parents Helping Parents Live. For those of you who are not new to the game, welcome back. For those of you who are maybe first timers or have only joined us once or twice, thanks for being here. There are lots of things that you could be doing on a beautiful sunny Monday evening, and you're choosing to spend that time with us, and that's really meaningful and special. And I don't kind of say that facetiously. I mean it. Like, we're really happy that you're here. And if you're here and you're watching the presentation and you're going to be hearing from Jayme and Lisa later, chances are you're here for a reason. And if there's something going on in your life or your family's life or a family friend's life, and you're looking for help and you're looking for resources, and that's what we're here to do. So Parents Helping Parents is an Oklahoma-based 501c3 nonprofit organization founded by parents, for the most part run by parents, with the mission of providing education, resources, and shared experiences to other parents who have had a child any age that's struggling with substance use disorder. So maybe you're a parent out there that has a 15-year-old that's just beginning to experiment with drugs and alcohol. Maybe you're a parent out there who has a 45-year-old that's cycled in and out of using and recovery for years. And we're glad that both of you are here, and we've got something special for all of you. And we just want to be here to provide resources to share what we've learned along the way, and hopefully be able to provide some support. So we're really glad that you can join our live stream, but I want to point you to a couple of places for some additional Parents Helping Parents info, okay? That's funny because that's our website, parentshelpingparents.info, right? Go there. That's where you can find out more about our organization and about our local chapters. So we have local chapters in Oklahoma City, Norman, Edmond, Wichita, Tulsa. I feel like I probably left somebody out and I'm going to get an email, but all of the chapters are listed on there. And those chapters are actually beginning to meet back in person over the summer, now that we're a little bit further out of the pandemic. So the live stream's great. We're glad that we can provide this for families who can't be a part of a local chapter, but I promise you there's nothing more powerful than being in a room with people who are there to care and provide support for you. So if it's possible for you to get plugged into a local chapter, go find out when they meet, give it a shot, take that first step. I know it's awkward, I know it's uncomfortable, but you'll appreciate that you did it on down the line. So the other thing you can do is, if you're watching this because you've seen it on somebody else's feed or on YouTube, follow us on Facebook at Parents Helping Parents Inc. Stay up to date on all the wonderful things we're doing and the different live streams that we've got coming up and the different things that are going on throughout the organization. So our little disclaimer: Parents Helping Parents as an organization has no professional experience or expertise. Our mission is limited to providing our own experiences, to connecting people with educational stuff and resources in the community. We don't do that. So nothing we do should ever be considered a substitute for professional counseling, medical advice, legal advice. All of those things we think are great. You should get those if you need them, but we don't do it. We're the ones that connect you to the people that do it. So do it. That's my juvenile. I just turned 41 and I'm making doo-doo jokes live on a Facebook live stream, right? That's life. Don't ever grow up, kids. That's the moral of that story. Right. So I'm really excited about our presentation tonight. So we have got Jayme, Kelton, and Lisa Reed from Peaceful Family Solutions. They're going to tell you all about that, but my experience with Peaceful Family Solutions has been that they really step in and provide services in a gap that was missing for a long time, particularly in my experience between grandparents who are raising grandchildren. Because their children are still actively using or aren't capable of raising kids, right? And so their organization really steps in to meet the needs for the children and to help children learn about addiction and helping the family come back together. And they're going to tell you lots of things tonight that are wonderful. So the only other thing I will do is I will ask everybody that's watching live on Facebook to reach up, click the share button. I'm going to do it right now while we're talking. Share this to your newsfeed and your friends' newsfeed. And here's why you do that. Let's say that you're super popular and you've got 1,800 Facebook friends. Is that super popular? How many do you have, Jayme? Do you know? Oh, you're on mute. Do you know? You have 20?
I'll say much less than 80.
Much less. Okay. Whatever you have, right? When you share this on your newsfeed, all of those people, whether they follow Parents Helping Parents or not, have the availability to see this message, right? So let's say you only have 500 friends on Facebook. I can guarantee you that out of that 500, some of them are going to be members of families who are struggling with addiction and mental health related issues and need to hear this message. And so it's a really simple, free way that you can support stuff like this is just to share it, to like it, to comment on it, and to send it to people who you think might need it, right? So click that share button, get the message out. And with that, I'm going to kind of take a back seat, go on mute. I'm going to pass it over to Jayme and Lisa to introduce themselves, talk about Peaceful Family Solutions, and to give us a little presentation. And I'll be back in with discussion and questions towards the end. If you've got questions live, sorry, ladies, I forgot this. There is a live text line in the title of this video. If you've got a question about something Lisa and Jayme's talking about, you want more information, you want to discuss it, I'm going to be monitoring that. Shoot me that question and we will make sure that you get that answered. Ladies, it's all you. Welcome to the big show.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having us. I'm going to share my screen. All right. Did that work like it's supposed to?
I think so.
Okay. Good deal. We wanted to say thank you for having us tonight. You all are an incredible resource, and we are a relatively young organization. Often I feel like we're one of the best kept secrets in our community for families who are struggling with substance use disorders. And we are just eager to get kids through our door. Appreciate the opportunity to be able to share with you tonight. There we go. So as I'm sure you have probably experienced, just like cancer or diabetes or any other kind of health disorder, there is just not anyone who is immune from addiction. It doesn't care about the size of your pocketbook, your color of your skin, your education level. And for many of us, it doesn't just hit close to home, it hits home. It might begin with a car accident and an attempt to manage chronic pain, a need to numb the grief from the loss of a loved one, or it might, start as young as adolescence with some experimentation. But what we know is that 1 in 4 of us have a loved one who is trapped by addiction. And for the young kids who are living with someone struggling with addiction, they often think that if they changed, it's developmentally appropriate. It's where kids are and how they see the world, that if they just changed, if they did something different, if they kept their room clean, or they got better grades, or they stayed out of trouble, that their loved one could stop. But that, of course, is not how it works. And it's not their fault. And it is a pervasive problem in the United States. So when we start looking at some of the statistics, we of course look at kiddos who kind of worst case scenario have ended up in foster care. And as you can see, that line just increases over the years from 2000 to 2016, the percentage of removals that are tied to drug use by parents, the national average just continues to increase. And with substance use disorders, children who grow up with them in the home are 8 times more likely to repeat the cycle of addiction themselves. A contributing factor for removal from the home, that number also continues to increase. The reasons for removing children from the home that are related to parental drug use is also a significant number. And then where Oklahoma lands is unfortunately in the higher numbers. So somewhere between 41 and 50% of our kiddos who end up removed from their biological homes is because of alcohol or other drug use as a contributing factor. We also remain at the top of the list for rates of child maltreatment. And our ACE scores, the adverse childhood experiences, remain in the very top in the nation. We also have zip codes that tell us where there are families who are most struggling with substance use disorders. And about 82% of kiddos who are having a response to a charge of child abuse or neglect is at about 82.8%. So at least 1 in 3 of the children who enters foster care in Oklahoma is because of parental drug abuse. When we look at those numbers, it's very costly. In 2018, the child welfare spending was close to $500 million. And they've broken it down into the total lifetime cost for one case of child abuse or neglect that's confirmed. The total lifetime cost to the state of Oklahoma is $210,000. So if you look at just 1 year, and in this case, the example is 2017, there were over 15,000 cases of confirmed child abuse and neglect. And that means that over the lifetime of just those kids who experienced child abuse and neglect in 2017, Oklahoma can expect more than $3.2 billion in lifetime costs associated with their maltreatment alone. So each year that number is compounded. And then for those of us who are struggling with substance use disorders ourselves or that of a loved one, as we know, the emotional toll is much higher than that dollar cost figure. And so that's where we come in. We were actually created by grandparents who were raising their grandkids because this is what we want childhood to look like. Our curriculum was developed by the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration of the United States. It has been used in the Hazelden Betty Ford clinics for more than 20 years. And we are an affiliate of the National Association for Children of Addiction. Our program, we believe that the gap that we fill, we want to stay in our lane. There's lots of other organizations who do things that are amazing, but we serve children who are ages 7 to 12 right now. We have the opportunity for a number of other expansions, but we think we're critical to addressing the fact that addiction is a family disease. Our focus is actually on the children that are affected by the disease. We know that statistically, that's at least 1 in 4 kids. As I mentioned before, they're 8 times more likely to repeat that cycle of addiction. Our program can change the ending to their story. It is evidence-based, and we have the results and the statistics that show that it truly can change lives. When we look at the Oklahoma that we want to live in and the things that need to change in order for us to have all of those quality of life indicators, the child abuse and neglect and substance abuse is what our lane is for peaceful family solutions. And that's what we are working hard to address. We believe our little Bill of Rights for our kiddos, that they have the right to their own recovery and healing, just like the grown-ups who are struggling with the disorder. They deserve to be treated with dignity, respect, value, and worth, to be listened to and heard, and they most deserve the opportunity to be kids. Our flagship program is our 4-day children's program and what we do best. And Jayme is going to tell you about our foundational exercise for that program. And we call it the Bag of Rocks. I'm going to stop sharing and let Jayme show you our Bag of Rocks.
So I apologize for dog barking and children getting ready for bed. So you might hear that as well. So I apologize. Like Lisa said, I'm Jayme Kelton, and I am the program director at Peaceful Family Solutions. So mentioning our flagship program, which is our 4-day commitment for families and children. We have the 7 to 12 age range for our kids, as well as the potential siblings who might be on the edge of 12, reaching 13, or the closer to 6-year-old range. So we are definitely a flexible organization with trying to meet the needs of as many children as we can get in the door that can receive our services and program. Before I reach into the Bag of Rocks that we have, that's our foundational piece, we do like to emphasize that our program is free to children and families. We are a completely free organization based on the generous donations and donors and other organizations around in the community. So those pieces create this opportunity for children to, like Lisa said, be treated with dignity, respect, know their worth and value. We are definitely a program that is designed around a strengths-based approach to these children. Children who have lived with and or are currently living with a caregiver or parent that is struggling with a substance use disorder have experienced potentially a lot of trauma. Some maybe have had a protective shield or a caregiver that was able to keep them from that. But like Lisa mentioned, there's so much trauma that can be involved with removal from the home, or even just a guardianship just for temporary purposes. So we are definitely a trauma-informed organization, knowing that children all have experienced those kinds of issues and are coming to us. And that's what the lens that we come from. So having children in a program that is based off of someone else's substance use disorder, or a loved one or a parent or a caregiver's addiction, can be a scary thought process for a parent. We know that parents that are either living in recovery or potentially have just recently relapsed, that those things can be concerning to address with your kiddo. We're very aware of that potential barrier to coming into a program with a child. So we are trying to streamline our program and to show and to express the compassion and positive regard to an individual that is seeking treatment and healing for their kiddo. So that's the approach we take when a parent or family member reaches out to our organization. Referrals can be found on our website at peacefulfamilyok.org. You can fill out our registration online. You can call our office. I'll do the plug, 405-601-2691, or send us an email as well. We are definitely approaching this area of the gap with children with the utmost regard for the courage that it takes for a parent or a caregiver to find our organization. So with that being said, Lisa mentioning that our 4-day flagship program is 4 days with children ages 7 to 12, all 4 days. So that is where we're able to have a program with children in our office at this time with the our original program. Obviously, modifications are hopefully to come as growth is to come. We have 4 different days, and 2 days caregivers join. So the kids are all 4 and the caregivers are 2. So with that, day 1 starts with addiction, the concepts, and that it's not my fault. So let me get into this bag of rocks really quick. It's on the ground and it's very heavy. Oh, Excuse me, I'm getting a tickle in my throat. So this is a backpack that weighs over 45 pounds sitting in my lap. This is something that we bring out for our kiddos. As the picture showed, each one has different words. I'm not sure you can read all of them. They've been definitely used in our program. So with this concept, sorry for getting in and out of this camera screen. They're getting really heavy on my lap. Each child is asked to try to pick up this bag full of rocks. They don't know they're rocks, but they're asked to pick up this heavy bag. Carefully, of course. As they do that, we begin the conversation. Is this heavy or light? How would you feel if this bag was on your back? Every day from the moment you woke up. How would you treat your friends? How would you treat your parents? How would you treat others? You know, you get the typical, oh, that was light. That wasn't bad. But then kids start to understand this would change how I interacted every day with everyone. This activity is a tangible way for children to hold what we call family problems, secrets, and feelings. It's our baseline to start the conversation of having something that you're carrying around all the time. How does it change your behavior? And how do people try to get this heavy bag that lives inside of them off their shoulders? That's the conversation that we start with. Some people say, oh, throw the bag off, or you throw it off, or you do, you just drop it. But teaching kids that not everyone has the coping skills to manage feeling guilty, to manage their anger. And so to find a substance as a potential way to remove the bag. And then how addiction can be the use of a substance more and more, and they can't stop. Although the bag is removed, the bag comes back on heavier. They can leave it down for a little while, but the only way to get better from drugs and alcohol is to talk about each one, is how we talk about it in an age-appropriate way with kiddos. So we are identifying with them from day one how to discuss feelings. Are they okay to have? Are they okay to have for your caregiver who may be struggling with a substance use disorder? And navigating how to be able to identify what they are, because some of these cross over to family problems, some of them cross over to be secrets, and it just becomes interchangeable. So what we're trying to convey to these kiddos is that most of their caregivers that are struggling with substance use disorders or addiction have been carrying around a heavy bag since before the kids were even around. So that's also an easy way and a visual way for kiddos to know that none of these things that someone that has been struggling, that it's now an adult, was ever their fault. And to say that most of the time, these probably heavy bags had started to be carried when their parents were their age or even younger because of potential trauma that they've experienced or life experiences that they've had. So this baseline approach for us is an age-appropriate way for kids to see and to talk about and to not feel, what's another word? Scared, to be able to talk about feelings. And it's also a way for us to introduce the don't talk about rule, as so much of addiction can be behind closed doors, told not to talk about, those kinds of things. This is a great way for us to start the conversation with kids in a program in a safe way to show them that we are a safe environment and we are a part of their healing. So this is a great activity that we do, and it's one of the most impactful ways that kids learn about these, and then through the program start to teach their caregiver about these as well. So it's an experience that they have, and then it's also a teaching opportunity for them as well to be able to feel like they can tell their caregivers and how to work together. So keeping the child's bag light is one of our goals. How do we keep the bag of life that we all will experience light? How do we do that? We need help. We need community support. I know that Parents Helping Parents is a huge community advocate for all different kinds of organizations. And so we fit right into that of knowing that help is needed and that asking for help is okay. So that's a component of our program that we start with and we reference from day one until the parents leave the door as dropping their rocks. So with our 4-day program, we offer the age-appropriate ways of discussing and education and prevention as well. The disease model is the way we approach addiction for the kiddos. We start there when we start to talk about what addiction is, how doctors may look at it, what does it look like? That's the approach that we take. So day one is the bag of rocks, and that addiction is not my fault. We want to make sure that kids, we don't want to make sure because most of them have heard the concepts, treatment, recovery, relapse, but it provides them a peer-to-peer experience where other people know that vocabulary as well, and they don't feel like they're alone. So that's an opportunity for us to start to build the peer-to-peer support that the kids may not feel like they have ever had because maybe they've been in individual therapy or counseling or never received any sort of services. And so for them to hear another person say those same things is sometimes a shock. So that's our first building rapport. Day two is it's okay to share my feelings. So we offer opportunities for kids to write, to do artwork, to be able to be together with other kids and play interactive games and do all of those kinds of things. We do role play. So we're a super interactive group because we know that kids doing hard work and discussing feelings is hard. And as an adult myself, I've had to learn how to feel comfortable expressing my feelings and practice. And so we want to provide kids with different modalities of being able to practice expressing their feelings. So day two is the it's okay to share my feelings. Day three is the heart of recovery and taking care of me. So day three is when our parents and caregivers join us. So whether that be kinship, guardianship, foster parent, adopted parent, biological parent, all of those groups is when we come together. The parents are experiencing a time together where they're able to discuss the material that we've been going over with the kids so that they are caught up and can feel like they can be a part of it. So they're offered tips and or discussions and time to be able to explain how their kid has been doing the last couple of days and to provide its own peer-to-peer networking opportunity for them. Midway through the day, the parents join the kiddos and we're together the rest of the day. Kids are then able to have an experiential and an opportunity to express their story of how addiction has impacted their life. This is a time where the families can really begin the conversation. This 4-day program that we've said is not the end all be all, but it's a jump start and it's a kickstart to communication, discussing what we've experienced, and then where can we go from there? So the idea is not to embarrass or shame or punish a caregiver for what they have experienced or what their children might have experienced. It's to have the conversation because healing starts with conversation. and for a child to experience healing and not carry around their heavy backpack of rocks, we're hoping to start that within a family. So the day 4 is changing the family legacy and celebrating you and me. So with our day 4, that gives the parents the opportunity to also respond to the children's story. So the children are then able to be heard and not have a response immediately by a caregiver, but that the caregiver, there's time in between where the caregiver can think about what they've heard and discuss it with the kiddo in a safe way. The exploring the ways family can grow together, because so much of treatment that we know is a family disease is that the kiddos maybe feel like they're secondary to the growth of a family, but they are essential to the growth because of so much of that they have experienced. If it's not communicated, the growth can be stalled. There can be resentment that was never discussed. So our program is hopefully making that growth a stronger start. With after our programs are finished, we do offer a continuing care group as well that meets once a month. That's a free opportunity that we had previously had as a reunion group for people who have graduated from the program to meet, for kids to get together and see each other again, that we have since learned that just an invitation to the community, if anyone knows of a potential family that might benefit from our program, but isn't quite ready to commit to the 4 days, or maybe is hesitant because they want to know us as an organization, can come to First Baptist Church in Oklahoma City on the first Monday of every month. Our next one is July 12th, and have dinner provided, as well as childcare is provided. And then we do a breakout session with kids. With the curriculum that we do in our continuing care groups are just extensions of our current curriculum that we do in the program. So we know that kids are it's a snapshot of an opportunity for kids to start the conversation, but then to deepen it, the curriculum that we have, the caregivers and parents are doing the same thing that the kids are doing, to hence hopefully have a conversation continue. So each month we do different topics. So this next month we will be doing safe people on July 12th, because we know that safe people for kids is vital, especially if a potential relapse or something where they were to potentially be in an unsafe situation. We want to make sure that that continues to be a conversation so that that children aren't put in unsafe situations. So that's our next one. Our next program is actually July 15th through the 18th, and we do have spots available as well. So anybody can reach out over the phone, or like I said, email, or go to our website. And then the following program that we have on the calendar is August 26th through the 29th as well. So with our program, our goal is to reach as many children and families that we can, knowing that this conversation with kids can be scary and can be uncomfortable. But we know that to break the cycle, conversations have to be started, and we want to fill that gap. So that's our program in a nutshell. I could go on and on. It's like what I can't wait to see the next group. I love working with kiddos. I've done it my whole career, and so I get really passionate about it. And I could talk your ear off, but I won't do that on a beautiful Monday night. So the program itself is life-changing. Even as a facilitator, it's life-changing to be a part of someone's community of support, and knowing that kids and prevention and breaking the cycle, it does take a village. It takes a village for all kiddos. And so being a part of that village is a big piece of Peaceful Family Solutions.
I'm
Man,
gonna just share one last
please.
slide with you, and that is our outcomes. So for the kids who have gone through our program, we see a significant increase in hope and well-being, their resilience, their ability to recognize their own strength, reduced anxiety, and not feeling alone. We see that they are safer. They can identify their safe people. They know how to ask for help, and they have a decreased risk for repeating that cycle of future drug or alcohol use. Their communication between the whole family is improved, and their ability in particular to name and communicate the feelings, we call it dropping your rocks, is improved as well. They spend a lot of time talking about dropping those rocks. Their understanding that their parents' addiction is not their fault, and that with recovery and treatment, they can get better is improved. And then also the ability to make the distinction between the disease and their loved one is really important, because they can love that grown up with all their heart and still hate the disease that has made them sick. And then we also find that healthy relationships are increased as well, that the kids learn that their job is to be a kid, and they see what a healthy parent-child relationship looks like. So we're really proud of those outcomes, and we are super eager to get other kids through the door so that we can help them change the ending to their story as well.
You know, I don't think this is an overstatement. Just after hearing about, you know, more in depth about the program, that I mean, I'm familiar with Peaceful Family Solutions. I remember when Brett Cadigan was there years ago, right? Criminal might be too strong of a word, but maybe not. Like I feel like myself that it's kind of criminal that you guys have spots available in a free program for children who have parents that are struggling with addiction issues, when I know that there are thousands of them, and you guys know that there are thousands of them in the state. And so, like, I'll be the one to say it, because I feel like you two ladies are way too probably nice to say it. Or maybe you think it might be tacky, but I don't think it's tacky. So I'm going to say it. If you're a provider of substance abuse treatment in Oklahoma, outpatient or inpatient, and you're working with people who have children that are between 7 and 12, and you don't refer them to this program, you're doing a disservice to your client, really. I mean, that's how I feel about it. So I'll be honest. And I feel the same way about parents helping parents at times too. You know, if you're a provider of drug and alcohol treatment and you're working with a 15-year-old and you don't connect that parent with an organization like Parents Helping Parents or Al-Anon, you're doing a disservice to your clients. You're not providing the best care you can, because a program like this, I mean, my biggest takeaway is that you're breaking the cycle of addiction from generation to generation. And man, it's just wonderful. I don't know.
But at the same time, we've had the conversations over and over again about what could the barriers be. And so with someone who is working on their own recovery, and then having to go back and discuss it with their kiddo, that can be a hesitant conversation to have. We deal a lot with people who are like, oh, I'm not sure how much they might know, or this and that. And, you know, we know kids are kind of like sponges and can hear and feel and see and all of those kinds of things. And so the most important thing that we want to offer individuals who are in treatment, or potentially maybe people just don't know about us, is that the non-judgmental place where we come from, we want to make sure that they know that it'll be Lisa, myself, or one of our other team members, Kat, who will be answering the phone, who they will be talking to, because providing that support and being that type of partner with, we do have great relationships with several treatment centers and those kinds of things around the community, but the pandemic definitely, you know, caused a halt to a lot of referrals just because of their restrictions. So we know that we're starting back up again with opening up within those treatment centers that we've had past relationships with. So all of those things we know are to come. And as we've all been made aware that the pandemic has shown a huge light on where we are as a nation and where we are as a state with substance use disorders and children, and you know, are they safer at home, and all of these kinds of things are starting to be brought to light. And so we're just so thankful for Parents Helping Parents to allow us to be a part of that conversation and to continue to say that we're a part of the community that is here.
Yeah. One of the things that you ladies talked about during your presentation was how one of the focuses of your program, especially early in that 4-day process, is developing a culture of safety amongst the kiddos so that they feel comfortable to talk and to share. What do you recommend families can do from a home perspective to try to recreate that same level of safety within their own home to open up communication between either grandparents and children, or even if somebody's regained custody of your kids after they've gotten healthy? Like, what are some of the tips and advice you have for families to do that at home?
We offer, like during our program, sit down and create your safe people. Adults who are in treatment or recovery, they have their support. Create those same names and or find new ones that the family, each individual can identify themselves so that they feel empowered to be able to give themselves that safety net. That the children have access to phone numbers, that have access to addresses, all of those kinds of things. Because what we emphasize in the group is safety for the children, not only with us that are essentially new people to them, and also providing opportunities for parents to have conversations that are tougher with kids, that they may feel are uncomfortable, and practicing reaction response or those kinds of things. But access to information for kids is a great way to provide a safer environment for those kids.
We also encourage conversations about the different types of abuse, an age-appropriate conversation about physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse in an age-appropriate way, so that they can identify when they are in unsafe settings and need to reach out to a safe adult.
Great. There's been a long-running misconception among difficult conversations. I'll use suicide as an example, where people think, oh, if we talk about suicide, people are going to be more prone to attempt suicide and die by suicide. And what we found out is it's the exact opposite, that what we want to be doing is talking more about suicide, and that lowers the risk. Is that the same misconception that we have in talking to children about the difficult topic of addiction?
Yeah, I think when we especially see that when we have foster care or adoptive or kinship or grandparent relationships, if that kid is going along pretty smooth, it sometimes feels like you might be re-traumatizing them or bringing up something that they've forgotten about. But the reality is that they haven't forgotten. They know what happened to them. And to reach adulthood and not repeat the cycle of substance use disorders, they have to deal with it. So I think there's definitely a lot of fear that you are bringing things to the surface that are best left alone, but that's actually not the case. The kids need to talk about those things. They need to get them out. They need to revisit them, and then they can begin the process of healing. We share that they can get those things out by journaling, by talking about them to a safe person, by writing about them or doing art. But the other really important thing that we share is a good way to deal with those things is by crying.
Yeah. Excellent. I've got a question. There's been a couple of comments on Facebook. You guys can get on. Some of them are just, you ladies are wonderful. Thanks for your program. Those fanfare type comments.
Right.
Is there, we had somebody asking a question, is that if guardianship judges that are working in the state have access to or know about your program for referrals?
So just as the pandemic began, we became a requirement for drug court participants in Oklahoma County to complete drug court. If they had kids within the ages of our program, then they had to go through the program in order to graduate from drug court. Of course, we're sort of starting over on that again, but we're also having conversations with family treatment court and guardianship courts and guardian ad litem about how we can best get these services to the kids that need them. And
Great.
I think what we hear most is that they're asking for some services for children under the age of 7. And we are working on putting those in place. There's a wonderful partnership with Iowa and Sesame Street, where an adorable character has been created who is young, whose mom struggles with a substance use disorder, and has entered many of those age-appropriate conversations for some preschoolers. And so I think that one is at the top of our list, and what we're hearing from the courts that is most needed.
That brings me to a follow-up question is, and maybe sometimes I ask questions that I want to ask. I'm like, I'm hosting this thing, and sometimes people are like, well, we can't talk about that. Any plans in development from Peaceful Family Solutions in terms of program expansion? Something particularly to capture an under 7 or an over 12 bracket and do some of the similar work?
We just had that conversation with our board last Monday. So we actually have the curriculum that was developed from SAMHSA for our ages 7 to 12. We have the same thing for teens. It needs to be updated, it needs to be modernized, it needs to make sense with the technology and everything that's available. But we have that in the works to adapt. We also have a 6-week abbreviated school program that is basically 1 hour a week for 6 weeks, where the teachers or the counselors might identify kids who are in some circumstances where they need some extra support to strengthen their emotional intelligence and their behavioral issues. It's kind of could be just a taste of our foundational program, and we would hope that it would need a stepping stone to them then participating in our more in-depth program. And then our additional one is the more in-depth task of taking on the full development, what looks like probably an age 3 to 6 curriculum.
Yeah. Man, tough ages. I mean, when you get under 6, the challenge really becomes different because you're dealing with a whole set of developmental issues that you aren't dealing with in that 7 to 12, or especially in the post 12 bracket.
I think it will require a playground on our campus.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of play therapy incorporated
Yes.
type work there, even more so than the 7 to 12, who have a little bit of enough emotional intelligence to begin to comprehend at least how do I communicate my feelings, right? At 4, you don't even really know what feelings are, and it's hard to conceptualize that at times. So
Sure.
hey, just so that you ladies know, and so that everybody that is watching this knows, especially if you're watching later on YouTube or something, the Peaceful Family Solutions Facebook page and website's been added to the comment section of the thread. So if you want more information about their organization, or you want to reach out and get in touch with one of these wonderful ladies to make a referral, or just to develop a community partnership, which I'm sure they would love to have with everyone, make sure you go to find the video on Parents Helping Parents, at Parents Helping Parents Inc. on Facebook, video section, find the video. In the comments will be the linked information to their organization. So, man, thank you ladies so much just for joining us and for taking time out of your nights to be here and to share your information. But more importantly than that, if I'm a betting man, neither of you are probably making $150K a year doing the good work at Peaceful Family Solutions. So more than a thank you for being here with us is like just a genuine thank you for like the committed work that you do and working with children and wanting to make Oklahoma families healthier and better. So just thank you guys so much for what you're doing.
Thank you. We
Thank
feel
you.
incredibly grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you so much.
Excellent. All right. Hey, that kind of wraps us up, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We're here the first and third Monday of every month doing live streams, so be sure to join us. If this is the first live stream you've caught, you want to watch more of them, head to our YouTube page, head to our Facebook page. All the videos are on there, hours and hours and hours of me and strangers rambling about drugs and treatment and families and everything else. More importantly, we're rambling about change. And that's the good part. So ladies, thank you for being here. Hopefully I'll run into you at a coffee shop sometime soon, and we'll catch up later. All right.
Thank you.